In the section called the Game of Chess, we come to find the dressing room of a fashionable lady. The lady has got wealth, beauty, and enough time. And the one big problem with her is spending the time. Time hangs upon her. And she is not capable to communicate with her husband. She asks a few questions to him, but he doesn't give answer. And she becomes angry. And she questions the man. So what are you thinking? And what thinking what? I never know what you are thinking. And if you continue thinking, think. And in her opinion, that they are in a rat's alley, in a rat's nest, where the dead men lost their bonds. And this is a very powerful image presented by Eliot. And the image speaks about the spiritual darkness and the modern man's sense of loss. And she comes to hear a noise. And she asks, what is the noise? And she also comes to give the answer. Perhaps the noise may be the wind under the door. And what is the noise now? What is the wind doing there? Nothing again, nothing. And the question again, do you know nothing? Do you see nothing? Do you remember nothing? And she says, I remember, those are pearls that were his eyes. And she questions the man, are you alive or not? Is there nothing in your head? Why can't you speak something? And after all, the next snippet is that of a few ladies sitting in a London bar. And it is late night. And the barman has been coming, requesting them to hurry up, to leave the place. Hurry up, please, it is late. And we come to find the barman repeating, hurry up, please, it is late. So, hurry up, please, it is late. So, in 5 occasions, hurry up, please, it is time. Hurry up, please, it is time. Hurry up, please, it is time. The same is used by him, the barman, in 5 occasions. He repeats it 5 times. And the ladies are there sitting in the pub. The ladies are sitting there in the pub. And the ladies are called Bill, Love, and May. And what are they doing in the pub? Drinking liquor and at the same time gossiping on another lady. So they are found gossiping on another lady. So, and she is actually the wife of Albert. She is actually the wife of Albert. Albert is in the military. And she is named Lil, L-I-L, Lil. And very interestingly, these 3 ladies refer to the life of Lil, married to Albert. And if Albert comes, what will happen? So you ought to be ashamed, I told her. So another lady says that she told Lil, if Albert will come from the army, from the military for a vacation, what he will do? And he has sent her money. Albert had sent her money to change her tooth, to fix a new set of tooth. And she lost her tooth by taking abortion pills. So she had taken abortion pills. She had 5 children already. And when she was delivering the last child, she was about to be dead. And Albert sent her money to change her tooth, and now she doesn't look beautiful, even though she is only 31 years. And if Albert will come, sure that he will quarrel with Lil and will look for another ladies. So, and if he comes to me, I will agree with him. And these ladies are found gossiping on another lady named Lil, and from this area, you once asked the question, the name of Lil's husband. Lil's husband was Albert. And when the ladies are found gossiping in the pub, the pub keeper, the barman is found coming and repeating the same dialogue, hurry up please, it is time. And he is found using the same dialogue 5 times. And finally the ladies are found leaving the pub. And when they leave the pub, so their last dialogue, good night ladies, good night, sweet ladies, good night, good night. And actually these are the last words of Ophelia in Hamlet. When Ophelia was about to die, she told the others, including Gertrude, good night ladies, good night, sweet ladies, good night, good night. So this is actually a repetition of the dialogue made by Ophelia in the play of Shakespeare entitled Hamlet. So the mad Ophelia became drowned to death. And before drowning in the water, she said farewell to the people. And it is interestingly repeated in the poem The Waste Land, when the ladies are found leaving the pub. So the narrator says, good night ladies, good night, tata, good night, good night. Sweet ladies, good night, tata, good night, good night. Good night Bill, good night love, good night May. And we come to find the names of these 3 ladies here. Good night Bill, Bill is one lady, B-I-L-L. And good night love, love is the other lady, L-O-U. And good night May, May is the 3rd lady, May, the name of the month. And the lady referred to by them is Lil, L-I-L, Lil. And she is a lady 31 years old then. She has lost her tooth and she looks ugly now. And Albert has not been there with her now. He has gone to the military, and when he becomes demoved, when he becomes released from the duty, he will return to his home. But Lil anyhow will not be able to provide him sexual satisfaction. This is the thing discussed by the ladies there. So they gossip on Lil in the pub, and these are situations normally we find in the society. And the 3rd section is called Fire Sermon, and I told you this is the longest section in the poem. And after all, the title has been taken from Lord Buddha's sermon. The title, The Fire Sermon, has been taken from Lord Buddha's sermon, encouraging to give up earthly passions. So this is a popular sermon made by Gautama Buddha, and it is called the Fire Sermon. The Fire Sermon encouraged the devotees to give up earthly passions. And Eliot compares the London of the olden times with the London of the modern times. So in the beginning of Fire Sermon, he describes London of the present times and compares the present London with the London of the olden times. So in Spencer's time, Thames had been running smoothly and gently. And in Protelamian, we come to find Spencer using the refrain, sweet Thames run softly till I end my song. So in Protelamian, we come to find Spencer using the refrain, sweet Thames run softly till I end my song. And here in the poem, the same has been used so in 3 occasions. Sweet times run softly till I end my song. So in the beginning of the poem, Fire Sermon, he comes to refer the London city and especially the Thames river that passes through the middle of London. And in olden times, Thames was a sacred river, so a very gentle river. And there were the nymphs playing on the surface of the water. In Spencer's Protelamian, we find the nymphs playing on the water. But now the nymphs are departed, and sweet Thames run softly till I end my song, Eliot says. And the river bears no empty bottles, sandwich papers, and in the river bed we come to find that there are the empty bottles, the sandwich papers, the silk handkerchiefs, the cardboard boxes, the cigarette ends, and the testimony of summer nights. So the nymphs are departed, and their friends, the loitering heads of city directors, they have all departed, and they have left no addresses. And he comes to say, by the waters of Leman, and it was at the time Eliot was recuperating after his illness in Geneva. And the river in Geneva, the Leman, is referred to here, the waters of Leman. And when he speaks about Thames, so he compares with the waters of Leman. And repeatedly uses the refrain used by Spenser, sweet Thames run softly till I end my song. So sweet Thames run softly till I end my song. I told you the fire sermon has been a title taken from a sermon delivered by Lord Buddha. And Eliot compares the London of the olden times with the London of the modern times. In Spenser's time, Thames had been running smoothly and gently. And Prouthalamion refers to nymphs playing on the banks of the river. And in the poem Wasteland, he uses the refrain 3 times. But now the place has been haunted by, formerly the place was haunted by nymphs. There were the nymphs playing on the banks of the river. But now the place is deserted, and it is haunted by nymphomaniacs. Formerly there were the nymphs, and now the place is haunted by nymphomaniacs, sexual orgies. And the banks of the river are strewn with the remnants of sexual orgies. And in the fire ceremony there is a section dealing with lust. I told you it is in this section Tiresias is directly introduced. Tiresias is directly introduced in this section. And Tiresias is found watching a short session of sex. So the opening part of fire ceremony presents the modern times and the situation found in the river Thames. And there are the remnants left by the sexual orgies, nymphomaniacs. And in Spenser's time, there were the nymphs playing on the banks of the river. And after all, in the fire ceremony, he refers to another snippet also, another portrait also. The portrait is that of Sweeney. Sweeney is a pimp who arranges ladies, a pimp who works for brothels. And Eliot has got one play also entitled Sweeney Agonistes. And the title Agonistes is actually means champion. And this is a parody of Milton's title Samson Agonistes. And Eliot has changed it into Sweeney Agonistes. And Sweeney is a pimp of the brothel for the prostitutes. And Sweeney is found coming to the brothel run by Mrs. Porter. And the protagonist here is Sweeney, and the next protagonist is Mrs. Porter. And Mrs. Porter has got her daughter also. And these two ladies are found washing their feet with soda water. In fact, to avoid contracting venereal diseases, sexual diseases, and 2 ladies, Mrs. Porter and her daughter, are introduced in the fire ceremony. A scene from the brothel, a scene from the place where the prostitutes live, from the whorehouse, is presented in the poem. And there is also reference to the abortions done by the prostitutes, and the crying of the the fetus, the crying of the dead children. The children were aborted by these prostitutes. And their songs can be heard. The songs of the children, the dead children can be heard. And Eliot repeats the song, jag 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 jag, jag 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 jag. So, this is one situation presented by Eliot in Fire Sermon. And then there is also another situation, and it presents Mr. Eugenides, a merchant, a Smyrnan merchant, a merchant from Smyrna, Turkey. And he is named Eugenides. And he has got a pocket full of currants, dried grapes. And he has been there in London, in fact, to sell his merchandise. And he asked the narrator to go with him for a dinner. And after that, he invites the narrator to join with him at the Cannon Street Hotel. And actually, when a man invites another man to a hotel, it is meant for homosexual activity. And there is reference to homosexuality also in Fire Sermon. And he is invited to go and stay with the merchant at the Metropole, a fashionable luxury hotel at Brighton. He is asked to join with him for a lunch at Cannon Street Hotel, and he is asked to join with him for a weekend at the Metropole Hotel. And when a man invites another man to join with him for a week, staying in a hotel, it means, so he is a homosexual, inviting the male friend to join with him. There is reference to homosexuality also. So he picturizes a brothel run by Mrs. Porter and Sweeney Agonistes, the pimp. And after all, he also introduces a scene of homosexuality, a merchant named Mr. Eugenides, inviting the narrator to join with him for homosexuality. And this is the time Eliot introduces the human conscience, Tiresias, the main protagonist of the poem Tiresias. And Tiresias says, I, Tiresias, though blind, that I have been throbbing between two lives. Actually, he has been throbbing between the lives of a male and female. I told you he was a female for 7 years. And he had been introduced as a man with a wrinkled female breast because he was a female for some time. And at the violet hour in the evening, so he comes to find the typist returning home, the typist lady returning home at tea time, clearing the breakfast table, and she had taken breakfast, but she didn't clean the table at the time when she left the house for her office. Now she is found clearing the breakfast table, lighting her stove, and laying out food items, and eating the food items. And actually she has been waiting for a young man. And Tiresias, with a wrinkled breast, perceived the scene, and he understood that the lady was waiting for a young man. And the young man, as expected, comes, and he is called a man carbuncular, a man with pimples on his face, a carbuncular young man, a clerk in some house agent's office. He comes there, in fact, to have his sexual connection with with sexual enjoyment with the typist. So a moment of sexual connection is presented here. So, and he had been a small house agent's clerk, and the lady is only a typist. And he comes, in fact, to see the typist and engages in sexual communion with the lady. So and after all, Tiresias was found watching the scene of sex enacted on the divan. And when the act of sex is over, the young man was found leaving the place. And the lady seemed to be very bored with the sexual activity. And she is found placing a record on the gramophone. So in the modern times, sex has also lost its interest. Sex has also become very dull now. She smoothes her hair with automatic hands and puts a record on the gramophone. And it is in the area we come to find the woman stoops to folly, when lovely woman stoops to folly. So speaking about the typist, Eliot refers to the lovely woman stoops to folly. Actually, this is a reference to Oliver Goldsmith's novel Vicar of Wakefield. In Vicar of Wakefield, we come to find Squire Thornhill singing a song. And the line is included in the song, when lovely woman stoops to folly. And the same is repeated in the poem The Wasteland, in the area called the Fire Sermon. And the line is found as the 253rd line. When lovely woman stoops to folly, and paces about her room again alone, she smoothes her hair with automatic hand and puts a record on the gramophone. So in the Fire Sermon, there is a section dealing with lust. And the central character is a carbangular young man who visits the female typist. And Tiresias watches their short session of sex. The lady heaves a sigh of relief. And when the carbangular young man leaves the place, the lady heaves a sigh of relief and puts a new record on the gramophone. And sex has become dull in the modern times. The interest in sex is also lost. And it is in the same section we come to find Elizabeth and Leicester sitting in a barge. Elizabeth and Leicester, Queen Elizabeth and Leicester, Lord Leicester. So they were in love. It was believed that Leicester wanted to marry Elizabeth, but Elizabeth remained unmarried all her life. And so there are many stories about the love affair of Elizabeth and Leicester, and they are also introduced so in the section. And the fourth section is called Death by Water, and it is the shortest section.